Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, celebrities, and attendees for tonight's celebration. My name's Terry Egan. I'm a sergeant at arms for the club still, and I like to open the meeting by reading the club mission statement. The Fox River Toastmasters Club provides a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And before I pass it over to our presiding officer, Dan Kybers, I'd like to point out we have some refreshments in the back. There's a variety of candies, cookies, fudge brownies, and we have a cake for later on in our celebration of our 20th year as a Toastmasters Club. Help yourself. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Kybers.
Thank you, Terry. All right. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see some new faces here, or some faces that aren't really new. Just haven't seen them for a while. Teresa, you were a member when it was Oswego, yes. Because that was when I first joined, is when it was Oswego, over at the little white schoolhouse.
Yes.
And I've been a member on and off, probably more times off than you, but I have been back now for several years at this point, and don't plan on leaving. So it's great, and we'd like to see you come back too.
We'll talk.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your life since you left?
Sure.
In a minute or two.
Yeah, in a minute or two.
Yeah.
I am still teaching business owners public speaking so that they become comfortable talking about their business and talking about themselves. So that helps them attract clients. And actually, in the to get into this. I personally am not speaking as much as I would like to. Certainly not like what I was before. I do miss that person.
And we miss you. Thank you. Virginia, it's been a long time. I know you have other things, so you're probably not going to come back anytime soon, but what have you been doing since you've left us?
I've joined the Moose. I'm doing a lot of volunteering stuff there. I'm in a book club that I do like once a month.
We're not hearing anything on this end.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having mic issues.
Chris is having mic issues. We'll pause for a moment while he... Well, I don't see... Last week we had a couple of them back there. This week we don't have any. All right, Virginia, try it again and see if Dick can hear you better.
I joined the Moose. I do a lot of volunteer stuff for them. I joined the book club, and then I spent a lot of time going down to Macomb to visit my grandchildren and watching them with sports, with baseball, basketball, and all that kind of fun stuff with grandkids.
Oh, thank you.
And Kim, I know it's been a couple of years or longer since you've been with us.
Yes.
But I was here last time you were here. What have you been up to?
Well, I've worked various jobs here and there, continue to serve in care ministry at my church, and our daughter got married, and she's been married now for 2 years, so we planned a wedding in that time. It's been I'm tending to and caring for aging parents, so it's a full life.
Certainly is. I am becoming one of those aging people myself. I used to say that if you remember that middle age is about 10 years older than you are, you'll never get old. But I got to tell you, I'm 74. The mind is willing, the body not so much. And you, I don't recognize.
Karen.
Karen.
Yeah, it's been several years. I'm thinking 2017.
I remember Karen here before, so you were probably here when I was here. It's just I don't recognize you. What have you been up to since we've been gone, or since you've been gone?
Well, I've been in school.
Oh.
I've gotten several certifications. I'm a certified EMT, phlebotomist, and a certified professional coder. And I'm still in school. I'm going to be done forever, I hope. I mean, maybe not forever, but for now. For now, in the spring, I'm going to get my, I'm doing a program at College of Page, and it's, I'll be getting an RHIA certification, which is a registered health information management.
Many, many years ago, I thought about being an EMT, and I decided I wanted to be a doctor, and I ended up going into accounting. So, go figure. All right, and we have one other person that I don't recognize here.
Normanville.
Norman, have you been a member of this club before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. Probably when I wasn't, because I've been on again, off
I
again.
just hug random people.
You know what? It was the smile that really made her want to hug
Yeah, I was like, oh God.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since you left our club.
Wow.
Just in a minute or two. Not a 5 to 7 minute speech, just a minute or two.
Wow. No, I kept it in my head. Working a lot. Kids growing up. My daughter's now a freshman in college now, which is crazy. 13-year-old that runs me every single day of my life now with travel, sports, and everything else. So, just life. I'm gonna say life.
Well, it seems like almost yesterday when we took my sister's kids in, they were 1 and 4, and they're both in their 30s now. So yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it does.
And my lord, you've been gone for a while, but I know you're going to be coming back soon, right?
Yeah, well, I was starting from today, so yeah.
Okay.
I was on for duty work, so.
I hate it when work gets in the way of Toastmasters. Okay. Well, tonight is our 20th anniversary celebration, and it's a little bit different, but it's going to be a lot of the same thing if you're used to.
Online too. Some people online.
Okay. My tablet up here doesn't have anybody online, so just a second.
Yep. I'll go ahead and introduce some of them. I know we have Narina Human. Narina, maybe you could unmute yourself, or there she is. All right. Hi.
Well, hello. I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person today, but for some reason I was telling somebody I think it's 10 years, so but you're saying it's 20? Oh my goodness. Wow. Time just flew by. Wow. So I'm sorry, what was the question? When did we join it? What are we doing with our lives since Toaster? Yeah, I remember I joined when I was working at the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, and which was in the city of Chicago, but I live kind of closer to the Aurora side, and I found this tiny little white house in Montgomery. That's Oswego, right? That's not Montgomery, it's Oswego, yeah. And just love the people, just love the concept. And I think the thing that I liked the most was the impromptu speaking, because I think when it happens, people will ask you to do a speech, or they'll ask you to say something really quick for this or that. So that definitely was one of my favorite things. So I'm doing contracting work, actually just working on going full-time, which it's not normally what I do, but I work for a large company in finance called Ingredion. So it's plant-based out in Westchester, and I really enjoy the finance area. I have a daughter that kind of moved back with mom, which is so much fun. She's a photographer. And yeah, just very involved in joined a church that does deliverance. Learned a lot about casting out demons and things which I didn't know before, didn't grow up with that, so that was interesting. Yeah, life is good. It's definitely changed in the last 10 years, never mind 20. But we'll always be so thankful for Toastmasters. I always tell people, you got to just do that. Public speaking is something that most people don't like, so just go do it. And if you're lucky to find a really good group like we did, it makes it so much better.
Thanks, Narina. And I see we have somebody else just joined us too. The Hughes, Tony and Juanita. If you could maybe turn on your video. Hey, greetings. Haven't seen you guys in a long time.
Hey, everybody. Camera's there.
Hi, Dick.
Happy anniversary, Toastmasters.
You look fantastic. Wow. You always look great.
Anyway, what we've done, Tony and Juanita, is just for those people who are former members, just maybe give a few seconds on what you're doing nowadays, since you haven't been with the club for a while. We kind of get a chance to catch up.
Sure. Yeah, Juanita and I moved to Colorado 4 years ago, and we're living in a town called Buena Vista, which is right in the mountains. It's about 2 hours southwest of Denver. I am working full time at Visa as a tech writer. Juanita has retired formally, but she's still volunteering with a local mini horse ranch, and she actually just started a new part-time job, which she can tell you all about. Juanita,
Yes.
go ahead, tell us. They're looking for an
What,
update.
who am I supposed to stare at that?
Yes.
All right. Oh, Dick is laughing. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I retired from my 18 years in behavioral health, and now I am what am I supposed to be looking at here?
The green dot.
Okay,
honey.
well
Just
then
look at the green dot.
then erase all that. And so now I am doing a couple of hours at a beautiful hot springs resort near our home, and the benefits are fantastic. So I'm able to get the family in for all kinds of perks, and so I'm looking forward to doing that 1 or 2 days a week.
Okay,
You guys look exactly the same. You haven't changed a bit.
Did you learn that in Toastmasters?
I did. Indeed.
Very good. Thanks very much. Really great to see you guys. All of you who have joined us. I'll turn it back over to Dan. Well, I guess we do have some other guests that are not former Toastmasters, but current Toastmasters in other clubs. We have Marianne Reichelt, who is a past district director. Marianne, well, you can wave to us, I guess. Let me remove the spotlight on there. Okay, there's Marianne.
Dick, to one pertinent point, I was at the open house for Oswego's Toastmasters as well as the charter party. So I'm very familiar with the little White House.
Yes.
Oh,
Lovely venue.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Marianne. We also have Bonnie Tippy with us. You can say hi, Bonnie.
I'm on mute, so obviously
There you
not.
go.
Anyway, hi, everybody. Thanks for including me, and congratulations on your 20th anniversary or your 10th anniversary, because you know you should never really ask a woman what their age is.
And we also have John Greiner, but I'm going to introduce him shortly when he's going to be giving us a speech tonight. So I'll introduce him in a few minutes. But I'll turn it back over to Dan to go ahead and finish what he was planning on doing. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dick. It's great to see everyone here, especially those we haven't seen for a while. We'd like to see you come back, but I know you have a busy life. Drop in once in a while. We're on Zoom, so you don't really have to show up here. Just, once in a while would be nice. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Terry Egan. Terry.
Thank you, Dan. Wow. Well, it was like family night, I'll tell you. So many familiar faces. Norm, I'm used to seeing you at Sam's Club. I've been seeing you for a while. But our meeting theme tonight is time to celebrate.
Sound's not working where Terry is. It's
Oh,
chopping up.
should I move? Oh. Okay. Oh. These two under the.
That's just
Oh, okay. All right. I'd like to put you to work.
I see.
Okay, Dick, test. Okay, we good?
We're good.
Okay. Our meetings have gotten kind of mundane. I want to shake it up a little bit tonight. And it seems to me every meeting, every 14 days or whatever, we're always following the same agenda, same thing over and over again. I want to give you all a choice of how we do the meeting tonight. Show of hands, would you rather have a 3-course menu or a 3-act play?
Huh?
How many people want a 3-act play tonight? Okay, and how many people want a 3-course menu? All right, well, guess what? We're having a play tonight. So, the Toastmaster meeting, as you may be familiar with, runs in basically we're eating tonight, a 3-course meal. First up is the appetizers, and that's going to be where we're introducing all the members of the crew that are helping out serve the meal, followed by the main course, which will be our planned speeches. And following that is into dessert. Get the table topics. Actually, it's a 4-course meal. The aperitifs. We can have aperitifs. That'll be the table topics portion where we all get an opportunity to speak. And then finally, the evaluation, which is probably the most important part of the meeting, where we've spoken and now we're getting feedback as to how we have done in our speeches during the evening. And to introduce the members of the team who are going to help with the evaluations, we have our general evaluator tonight, and that's Mr. Dick Poyer. Dick, can you give us a couple minutes on your role and introduce the members of your team? Dick.
Certainly can. Let me do a little bit of moving around here. Okay. Yes, we have with us tonight a team, an evaluation team, who are going to help us with the evaluation portion of the program. And the team includes our timekeeper, a grammarian, and then we kind of throw the joke master in there too. But later on in the meeting, I will give feedback on how we did overall in the meeting, as well as introduce each of our evaluators. We have 2 evaluators tonight. Excuse me, Mark Lindsay is evaluating John Greiner, and then Chris Kostelik will be evaluating Dan Kyber's speech. One of the things that we try to do at every Toastmasters meeting, as those of you who've been or are Toastmasters know, is keep things on time. And tonight, Mimi will be our timer to explain her role. Mimi.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, guests, previous Toastmasters. It's so exciting to see so many people here. Honestly, I'm still thinking about the menu, Terry. My mind is drifting. But I will keep us on task. So my job is the timekeeper, and what I will be doing is, I forgot to bring my little cards up here. That's okay. I have green, yellow, red. I'll be flashing those around at the specific time of when John is talking, at 6 minutes for green, 7 yellow, and then at 8 minutes for red, and then I'll pull the virtual cane at him then. As far as the Dan's speech, I will be showing green at 8, yellow at 9, and red at 10. For our table topics, it's a minute for green, 2 minutes for the yellow, and 3 for the...
Maybe
oh, wait.
We're going to change that. We're going to do 3 to 5 minutes on table topics.
Okay.
How about if we do 3, 4, and 5?
3, 4, and 5. You heard it. 3 minutes green, 4 minutes yellow, 5 minutes red. And as far as the evaluations go, I think those will still be the same. We'll keep those at 2 minutes green, 2.5 at yellow, and 3 minutes for red. And with that, I will pass it back. Thank you.
Much, Mimi. We'll now hear from another person who's part of our team, and that is our grammarian, Chris Kostelik, who'll be explaining his role. Chris.
Thank you, Dick. As grammarian, I will be looking for not only all of the ahs and ums and double starts and triple starts, but along with that, also interesting words and turns of phrases, kind of anything that catches my eye throughout the day, and then we'll report out at the end. Also with that, I am in charge of a word of the day. And so this being the 20-year anniversary, I have a feeling the word of the day will get quite a number of tallies. And that's going to be any form of the word memory, memories, any form thereof. Dick, back to you.
Thank you very much, Chris. One of the things we try to do at every Toastmasters meeting, is, I'm sure you also know, is have a little levity. And tonight, Dan Kybers, our joke master, will be working to try to do exactly that. Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dick. On a fishing trip to a remote lake in northern Quebec, I asked the outfitter, "Do you stay here during the winter?" "No," he said. "The snow gets too deep. We can't get supplies in. Like many Canadians, I go south for the winter." "Oh, where's that?" "Vermont." What does daylight saving time mean in Seattle? An extra hour of rain. And for those who may have seen the movie Tornado, or I think it was Tornado with Helen Hunt, what happened to the cow that was lifted into the air by the tornado? It was an utter disaster. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Dan. Yes, it was Twister was the movie. That was one of my favorite movies. Okay, I'm going to have our Toastmaster step back up and take on the role that he is assigned. And please help me welcome back Terry Egan, our Toastmaster for the evening.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed the appetizer.
Yeah.
And now we'll get into the kind of the main course here, and introducing the prepared speeches for the evening. And I'm going to do something just a little different. I'm going to toss the introduction for our first speaker over to Mr. Dick Poyer, who would certainly do a much better job than I. Dick, please take it.
Wow, you really put me on the spot now, Terry. Let me ask a question first. How many of you who are here tonight know a Toastmaster that has been a Toastmaster for more than 50 years, 50? Probably not very many of you. Well, tonight you're going to get to know one, because our first speaker tonight is John Greiner, and he has been a Toastmaster for more than 50 years. And I've known John for, well, I guess more than 25 years now. When I started in the district level in Toastmasters, John has been a mentor for me and countless other people along the way. He has been a Toastmaster, or he is currently a Toastmaster in 8 clubs. He has served as district governor, which now is called district director. He has also served on the board of directors for Toastmasters International, including as the president of Toastmasters International in 2004. And I was really blessed to be able to be on the board at the same time he was president. So it was really enlightening to watch him be the kind of person that we look to be a leader in our organization. So it was really a pleasure for me to invite John, and that he actually accepted to come tonight and speak to us on our 20th anniversary celebration to maybe talk about some of the memories he has of Toastmasters and how they may apply to us here in the Fox River Toastmasters Club. John has been the kind of person who not only has fun in Toastmasters, but knows how to challenge people and look for ways of doing things better, which is what we're all about in Toastmasters. Tonight, he's going to be speaking. We have, for those of you who haven't been in Toastmasters a while, we have a program called Pathways now. And in Pathways, there are 11 different paths. John is working in the engaging humor path, and his project tonight is inspire your audience. So that's what he's going to be looking to do, to inspire us. I have no idea what he's going to be talking about, but please help me welcome past international president, distinguished Toastmaster, John Greiner, as he speaks to us with his speech titled 20 Years, That's Only the Beginning. 20 years, that's only the beginning. John Greiner.
Thank you, Dick. And welcome to all of you. I'm really happy to be here tonight. I have to tell you that this is not the first time I've had the opportunity to talk to a group of people who have a lot to celebrate, just like you do. Dick was talking a little bit about when I was president some years ago. He was on the board. One of the things that happens when you're the president is you do get to go around visiting multiple districts in the spring and in the fall during their district conferences. That particular year, I happened to be joining the Founders District, which is out in the Orange County, LA area, or south of the LA area. And one of the events that happened there was one of the very first clubs that ever chartered in Toastmasters. I think it was club number 8. It still had the original number, club number 8. They were celebrating their 80th anniversary that year. And so it just so happened that everything coincided right, and I got to go to an 80th anniversary celebration for a club. Now, I'll be telling you a little more about that later, because I have a challenge for you as we get to the end of this speech. But I wanted to point that out because I want you to know that 20 years is good, 20 years is great. And in a minute, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I think you've accomplished and what it means to Toastmasters, and hopefully to all the members who have passed through the doors of your club through the years. Yeah, I was reviewing some of the things here, and gee whiz, look at this. Out of the first 10 years of your existence as a club, starting in that would be September 9th, 2003, you were President's Distinguished. For some of you that may be new members, that may not mean much, but to those of you that have been around a while, it does mean a lot because that's the elite. That is the cream of the crop. That's the best that happens. And then out of the next few years, you were Select Distinguished twice and President's Distinguished 2 more times. So out of the 19 total years that you were eligible for being involved in the Distinguished Club program, you have been President's Distinguished 11 times, Select Distinguished twice, and you've lived through the pandemic. And even in spite of living through the pandemic, you were Select Distinguished the year after the pandemic hit us. So I think it speaks a lot to what you have done, how you've managed the club, and the value you've brought to your members. I think the thing that's significant about being a President's Distinguished Club is that it sets a high quality standard that members, guests that come and join as members get to realize what a good Toastmasters club is all about. The kind of club that Dr. Smedley, our founder, would have liked and probably would have endorsed. So as I think about this club, that's what I see, that's what I hear, that's what I watch as I see what's going on in the club even here tonight. And I think it stands for what we stand for in Toastmasters, which is our values and what we bring in terms of value to our members. All right, I want to talk just a little bit about the future. And here's what that's all about. I know you all have been around 20 years, and there's certainly nothing, that's certainly not anything to be ashamed of. But I want you to know that even here in our own district, we have clubs who've been around quite a lot longer than you have. In fact, McKinley Club in Champaign was chartered in April of 1947. It's still in existence, it's still going. I didn't do the math, but you can do that. Dick can do it, he's an engineer. State Farm Windjammers was founded, that's in Bloomington. They were founded in November 1951. Both of those clubs were chartered before there even was a District 54. District 54 didn't exist until 1956, when this district was actually formed. Another club that started just about that same time was Pimatui Club. That's here in Peoria. It started on April 1st, 1956. And then one up in your area, Fox Valley, actually chartered in 1970 on December 1st. That's the 4th oldest club. And the 5th oldest club in our district here is Caterpillar Employees Club in Peoria, chartered on November 1st, 1971. Now, the significance of all this, I think, as you think about this, is that not too many clubs actually get to the point where they reach that ripe old age of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it might be. A number of years ago, I was asked to go to Park Ridge, and that's a club in Chicago. Been around for a long time. Dick Storer, some of you may know him. He was a past international director. He was a big part of that club. And Dick loved history, and he loved the experience that the club provided to its members. He asked me to come up and help them celebrate their 55th anniversary and also their 60th anniversary. At that time, I had a lot of, I guess, pull, if that's the right word, with Toastmasters International. So I convinced them to go do a study and find out what percent of the clubs ever got to 60 years old. And that was just the current clubs, didn't include all the clubs that had chartered but no longer were in existence. But out of the clubs that existed at that time, only 2% of the clubs were at least 55 years old. Now, I don't know what that means to 20 years, but I would guess that in today's environment, with things turning over as fast as they do, and they are, that existing for 20 years, probably there's not even 5% of the clubs that make it that far. That would be a pretty good guess on my part, I believe. So that tells me a little bit about what you've done and what you're committed to and the standard of excellence you set for yourselves and others that come through your doors. When you think about that 20 years, I like to think about it this way. I looked at your average membership and it ran up there somewhere around upper teens. And in all that time, there had to be a lot of turnover. We all know there is. So think about how many people that actually affected when you add all the ones that came in and the ones that left, some of which are in the audience here tonight, what kind of an impact you had on those people. And you already heard a little bit about it from some of the guests who were here tonight and talking about their Toastmasters experience. That's the impact Toastmasters have. So here's a challenge for you. That is that, you know, the first 20 years in many people's books are pretty easy, right? It's that next 60 that get a little difficult. So if you want to get to 80 or 100, then you're going to have to set your sights a little higher and be even more aggressive and get more done and bring more members and bring more value to those members. So that's my challenge to you tonight. I hope you make it to 30 years, and gosh, I'd love to be around by that time. I'd come back, visit you, and see you, celebrate with you. But I don't know what will happen. Of course, none of us do. But I'm going to say, yes, let's do that. And let's say just set our goal for the next 10 years. We'll have another celebration in 10 years. And then we'll be able to say, we did the same thing, only we did it better. And we brought more value to our guests, to our members, and to everyone who's associated with the club. I want to wish you the best. I want to wish you congratulations on 20 years, but don't forget that the value lays in front of you, the opportunity lays in front of you, and the road for success is in your hands. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. It was very, very inspirational. And as you were speaking, I thought of two things. You mentioned the pandemic, and look around the room tonight, all the cameras and the microphones, and how in March of 2020 we had our first virtual meeting on Zoom, and it wasn't a failure, but there were some rough spots. And then we came through basically about a year and a half, I think, before we got to meet back in person again here at Village Hall. And we've kind of grown into this hybrid virtual presentation that we have, where we have attendees in person and the folks at home online. The second thing I thought about, next year this club is going to be 21. Let's say we borrow the car keys from Dad and take it for a ride. What do you think? I didn't hear you laughing at home.
We were laughing.
Thank you. Okay, moving on with the agenda for this evening, we have another speaker who I'd like to introduce, Mr. Dan Kybers. Our next speaker had an intense dislike for standing in front of groups and giving oral reports in school. In fact, he would rather take a 0 on a project than stand in front of a class and give a report. Early in his career, he took a job doing phone support for Tech Data, which is a small regional computer hardware and software distributor in Florida. He felt comfortable dealing with one-on-one over the phone. As his confidence grew, he was doing monthly training sessions for other technicians and quarterly weekend training sessions for sales personnel. He felt comfortable dealing with his coworkers. Then things changed at work. His post-sales support group was merged with the pre-sales support group, and Dan was told he needed to go out to dealer sites and train the dealer customers. He needed to go to trade shows and to do seminars for the dealers. Dan knew he needed help, and he found Toastmasters. That was over 23 years ago. Now, Dan has conquered that fear. In fact, he now looks for opportunities to speak to groups. His speech today is project number 3, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language from Team Collaboration Pathway. The purpose of this project is to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance the speech. To learn or review the importance of vocal variety and body language, present an 8 to 10 minute speech on any topic at a club meeting. The primary focus of the evaluation is vocal variety of your body language, the primary focus of the evaluation is your vocal variety or your body language and gestures. You'll identify the skills you're working on for your evaluator before you deliver your speech to be evaluated on those skills. Please help me give a warm welcome to distinguished Toastmaster Dan Kybers, Building New Clubs. Building New Clubs, Dan Kybers.
Thank you, Terry. Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do is proof of what you believe. You might be thinking, what is my why? I joined Toastmasters to get over my fear of public speaking. I stay in Toastmasters because of the friends I've made and the relationships I've built, and my main focus today is to maximize other people's experience so they can become catalysts of change. Now, I know that sounds kind of highfalutin, but let me explain. As I mentioned in my introduction, in high school, I'd rather take a 0 than get up in front of a group. I had Spanish class, and they said, you're going to get up in front of class and speak. And I said, no, I'm not. They said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. I won. After 4 weeks, they put me in study hall. Years later, I had to take a Spanish class for college. God, I wish I had taken the high school one. Oh. Today, I look for opportunities to speak because Toastmasters has made a huge difference in my outlook on life. And I say huge because if you remember back years ago when they were talking about, think about what you want to do when you graduate. Well, what I do today didn't even exist back in 1967 when I graduated. So, I don't know how you think about things that don't exist yet. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Toastmasters is the largest self-help organization in the world, dedicated to improving your communication and leadership skills. It's cheap. Look at Dale Carnegie. What do you spend? Thousands of dollars? What do you get? A weekend? And then you got 51 weeks of nothing, no practice, no interaction. And then you go back next year and they pay the same amount, they do the same thing, and you do the same thing over and over and over. And Stephen Covey said if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. If you don't like what you're doing, you need to change those results. Next year, Toastmaster will celebrate its 100th anniversary in Anaheim, California. October 22nd, 1924 is when it started. And to this day, club number 1 that started everything out celebrated their 99th birthday this year. And I expect they will be around next year to celebrate their 100th one. Today there are over 270,000 members. 270,000. That's after the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, we were over 300,000. Go figure. I know we didn't all die, but some people just got discouraged. We have over 14,200 clubs in 148 countries, including China. I met some people from China at the convention in August. I was amazed how many people there are around the world in different areas that I met down there. So why do we want to build new clubs? Building new clubs is the primary purpose of our district. And you may wonder, with all these clubs, why do we need more? If we build more clubs within our district, we can offer the Toastmasters educational experience to more people. Now, whether it's a community club, where typically anybody can join, or a company club, where you sometimes have to be a member of the company. There are a few that start out as a company club and they'll let anybody in, but if they're paying your dues, they want you to work for the company. Tonight's meeting is a special event, and it's a little bit different than a normal meeting, but since everybody here has been a Toastmaster, you all know what a normal meeting is. So I'm going to go with Terry's description and save a couple of minutes in my speech on that. There are two basic types of clubs, as I mentioned, the community club and a corporate club. Has anybody here been a member of a corporate club? No? I've started both types of clubs, and I'll tell you, the corporate club is much easier to start. And that's typically because you have the company behind it, their HR department is probably involved, or it's a training department, and they're providing the bodies for you. You don't need to go find the bodies. That's the hardest part of starting a new club, is finding 20 members to start a new club. Now, you can have 3 existing members and 17 new members, but it's still kind of hard to find 20 members to start a new club. Tonight, I'm going to talk about specialty clubs. Specialty clubs focus on a particular area. In our district, we have Yes and Toastmasters, and their focus is on improv. I've been to a couple of their meetings. They're interesting. I am not into improv, so I'm not really interested in going back to that club. But if you're into improv, Yes and Toastmasters is a great place to go. The Leadership Train is an advanced club here in our district, and it focuses on leadership, and many of the current members are past or current members of the district's leadership team. Advanced Expressives is also an advanced club that meets here, and their focus is on evaluations. You get 3 evaluators for every speech, and they focus on a different part to evaluate, so they're not all 3 talking about the same thing. I've been to their meetings too, and there's some interesting meetings. District 30 has Second City Toastmasters, which is focused on comedy. And they also have Windy City Professional Speakers. Guess what's that focused on? Professional speaking. And I don't know about the Second City, but I know that the Windy City, you have to fill out an application and be invited to join the club. And I think that might even be invited to attend a meeting. I'm not sure on that part. There are specialty clubs around the world on cooking, photography, intellectual development and disabilities, emergency management, debate, movies and films, and virtual reality. That last one I heard about in a podcast recently on Toastmasters, and they were talking about specialty clubs, and this person had attended a virtual reality club that was done in Meta. And the only requirement was that you had to have virtual reality gear. Now, I'm not quite sure how you have a in-person meeting in virtual reality. So you have a virtual reality meeting? Sounds interesting. Tonight I'm going to tell you about some specialty clubs that we're planning. Anybody interested in artificial intelligence? Oh, come on. I know he is. Yeah. All right, Lewis, Mark. Artificial intelligence, defined by dictionary.com, is the branch of computer science involved with the design of computers or other programmed mechanical devices having the capacity to imitate human intelligence and thought. That's imitate. They don't actually do it, they just imitate it. Now, why is it important? Well, its ability to analyze large data sets rapidly and to make predictions is probably the most important technological advance since the space age. And I know that most of you weren't around for the space age, but that was interesting too. What areas can benefit from AI? Well, all areas, but most likely we're going to have medicine and healthcare, finance, manufacturing. They're already talking about manufacturing as one of the problems that the automakers are striking over now, is because the electronic car, the electric car, is going to be more automated and take less workers to provide. What is the impact on future jobs? It will probably eliminate some. But guess what? So did the Industrial Revolution. We no longer have buggy whip makers. We no longer have those shoe hook makers. There's a lot of things we don't have, but it will provide opportunities for people to become engineers to design these applications, to become technicians, to take care of the equipment. It might be a robot and it might do things, but it's still going to need to be fixed when something breaks. I don't know if you're going to have to change the oil and grease the wheels and all that, but you're still going to have maintenance and people to do that. And individuals can use AI. I use ChatGPT to generate ideas for speech, for doing outlines. Now, you have to take it with a grain of salt and don't use exactly what you get. It's a good place to start, but you still have to have human intelligence involved. Next, I'm going to tell you about storytelling. Are you looking to stand out in your career? Storytelling is the way to do that. People connect with stories. There is a greater skill and positive impact your career as much as becoming a masterful storyteller. Well-told stories have the power to teach, clarify, and inspire. When you're hearing someone talk, if they talk about a story, they talk about a point, they make a story. They talk about another story and they make a point. You kind of remember what's going on. One of our world champion public speakers used to do that, and for the life of me, I couldn't find it when I was looking for it for his presentation. But he was talking about a time that he met somebody in the airport, and they said, "I remembered that talk you gave." He says, Do you remember what point I made? He said, "No, but I remember the talk." He said, "If you remember the talk, you remember the point." Not sure about that one. But we're going to be starting a storytelling club here as well. And last, a language club. You know what they call someone that speaks 5 languages? Multilingual.
Duh.
You know what they call somebody that speaks 2 languages?
Bilingual.
And you know what they call someone that speaks 1 language? American. We now have the opportunity to start a Spanish-speaking club in the Bloomington area, and I believe we could start one in Aurora as well. The 5 most spoken languages in the U.S. beside English are Spanish, with 43 million native speakers, Chinese, including Cantonese, Mandarin, and other varieties, with almost 3 million native speakers, Tagalog, which is Filipino, with 1.6 million, and various versions of Vietnamese, 1.4 million, and French, with 1.3 million. I kind of thought German would be in there somewhere, but it wasn't. There are many cultures and languages that we can service. I know I took German in college because I wanted to be a doctor. I thought that would be great. I don't remember any of it, but it was fun at the time. Anyone interested in joining a foreign language club? Cultural club? Tonight I told you about Toastmasters, and we covered some of the specialty clubs around the world. Most people join a regular community club like this one to improve their communication and leadership skills. There's no special focus here, although we do have fun. But think how much more fun you could have if you joined a specialty club, if your interest is in cooking. They do cooking demonstrations at these clubs, and they still manage to work in Toastmasters. Photography. They talk about photos that they've made, and they critique them. Film and movies. I can only imagine what they do there because, I like Star Wars and that sort of stuff, but not enough to join a club. Does Toastmasters work? Yes. Smedley Chapter 1 still meets today, 99 years after it started. We can help you improve your communication and leadership skills. I think most of you here already know that. And it'd be nice to see you come back again. But I understand that life gets in the way and life goes on. Arthur Ashe said, "Success is a journey, not a destination." Won't you join me on that journey? Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dan. That really got me thinking. AI, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, for all you know, and you people at home, I'm a hologram. No, really, I am a hologram. Virginia's asked me several times a week, "Are you for real?" Okay. Folks, it's time to clear the palate right now and get into the aperitif, if you will, and we'll move into the table topics portion of the evening. And I'd like to bring up our table topics master, Mr. Lewis Kreppert. Lewis. Slow down. Keep clapping.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, we have, one of the things we do in Toastmasters, obviously, is table topics. It gives us the opportunity to speak on our feet, get better at thinking quickly, putting our thoughts together. And with our theme of "Let's Celebrate," it's kind of thinking, what can we do with this? Now, I'm not sure if we could do 3 to 5 minutes as I'm thinking it through because we don't have all night here. But what I want to do is just hear from several of you about some of the things that you've gotten from Toastmasters. How it's helped you out, how you've been able to learn from what we've done, and just let's celebrate what we've done here. So maybe 2 or 3 of us, I don't know if we want to, if you go the whole distance or not with 3 to 5 minutes. I just figure a couple of minutes is probably not enough to get the full story about it. So I guess one of the things while you're putting your thoughts together, let me just start with how my experience with it, and then we'll go from there. I started back in 2006, and when I first walked in the little schoolhouse there, Tony and Juanita were there, and it was very nervous. I think I walked in the wrong doors. I walked in the front of the church or the school, and so when you do, these big doors open up, and you walk in, it's like, you've arrived. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into here? But there was a lot of people there. They said, come on, sit down. We'll take, we'll talk, tell me about what it was all about. My boss at the time had told me I needed to join a leadership or communications organization because I was in a district manager program, and he said they want everybody in one of those to help them out, but wink, wink, we really think you should join one. So I looked at others, like Dan had said, and some are great. Others are very they're there for 2 weeks and then they're gone, and then you have to work with it. So I said, you know what? I don't want that. I want something where I'm ongoing. And I've heard of Toastmasters, so I said, let me try them. Well, it must have been good, but that first night because I stuck around, and since then I've done a lot of almost every role in Toastmasters. I've also been. A few years ago, there was a table topics, and we have our table topics contest. Well, I won at the level here at the club, and then I also went and against the area and won at the area level too. And it's interesting how you learn how to work the system. You learn how to speak on your feet a little bit more. One of the things I learned about in the contest is obviously they can't start timing you until you start talking. So I knew that I had time on my hands. Don't just like everybody else, but just don't start talking. Just wait until you put your thoughts together. Give yourself a minute and then start in it. And sure enough, it won me a contest. Then in 2018. I earned the Distinguished Toastmasters, so that was really impressive at that point. And I've stayed in Toastmasters really because I don't think I'm done yet. And I think that there's a lot that I can help other people out now. So I don't give a lot of speeches like I used to, but I do a lot of evaluations and give people evaluations and helping them and seeing the newer members come on board and have them grow. So that's why I joined Toastmasters, and that's why I stick to it today.
Okay. Just a note that this year's speech contest will be international and table topics.
Okay, well.
Oh. All right.
All right. Do we have Mark's got his hand up?
Yes, I do.
So, Mark,
For this special meeting, I'm going to come up to the lectern for everything I do. Okay, thank you. All right.
All right, well, I guess we need to. Keep stepping. Keep going.
Yes. Keep going, Mark. Oh, you got the screw. Oh, this is farther than I thought it would be. I'm sorry, I knocked something over there.
You're good.
Well, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, including past members, I have gotten a lot out of Toastmasters. I joined in 2003, a year after my father died, and I was very appreciative that Dick Poye said he wanted to be my mentor. He said he wanted to learn from me about grammar and vocabulary, and I certainly learned a lot from him, too. And one of the things I learned was that a guy that you wouldn't think would need Toastmasters actually needs it just as much as the other Toastmasters. You see, I don't share that fear of public speaking that is attributed to the majority of the population. In fact, the issue of intimidation, in a sense, has been a lifelong one because, you know, I got feedback from one youth leader back when I was 18, and he said, Mark, I hope you realize that you're liable to intimidate people because of your intelligence. And at that time, I didn't realize that my intelligence was so high. I thought because I'm behind on reading, given that I couldn't see well to read, that I was behind everybody else in learning. And when you couple high intelligence with a lack of timidity about expressing it, boy, there's a real formula for intimidating people. And I've mentored a couple of people within Toastmasters, and I have been aware, because of that statistic about public speaking, that I need to be sensitive to the person I'm mentoring, that maybe they'll be a lot more nervous about public speaking than I would. And rather than overwhelm them, I need to be sensitive to them. And this brings us to another benefit of Toastmasters, and that is that it is a social organization. I am more extroverted than introverted, and I thrive on the energy of Toastmasters meetings. I really get a lot out of it. I get a lot out of the interaction, or as the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. And another thing that has been good for me in Toastmasters is to learn the discipline of speech organization, the discipline of keeping to a time limit and drawing up an outline, at least mentally, because, well, I made my first splash in Toastmasters, if you want to call it that, because I won table topics the first night I attended. And in fact, the table topics master said, well, we might as well all go home. Well, the fact is that I was lucky because Milt Rosenberg on his talk show with WGN had just been talking about something that was relevant to the table topics that night. So I just tied it in. But I have learned even to do table topics better and to, again, have that mental outline and form it in my mind right away so that I can do the best possible table topics. And I just want to say that even for somebody who hasn't been timid about speaking, who gets on radio talk shows easily, or maybe especially for such a person, Toastmasters is extremely beneficial. And I am proud of this club, and I am proud of my long time now association with Toastmasters. As I say, I started in 2003. And I hope to enjoy many more rich and fun years with this organization. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. All right.
All right, thanks, Mark. We have time for two more. Sarah.
Yes. Yeah, I do have something. Dave Lisi, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He sent me an email with something that he sent about Toastmasters. If maybe I could use that now, would that be a good time to do it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share that then. Let me turn on my audio here. My video, excuse me. Yeah, so Dave Lisi is a former Oswego Toastmaster, now Fox River Toastmasters. And this is, I'll just read what he wrote. When I joined Toastmasters, I was already an experienced speaker. My goal was to improve my skills since I do a lot of teaching. Toastmasters was a big help in that regard, and I was able to make some good friends at the same time. Now I give presentations regularly to my genealogy software users group, as well as to my professional society, the Washington State Tax Consultants. I've also gotten involved with a radio theater group, and he gave a reference to that, as well as and Toastmasters, he says, has really played an important part in that as well. And he says, some of you might remember one speech I gave from the old interpretive reading manual, in which I read a Scottish book with a Scots accent that was completely unintelligible to most of the people in the audience. I wasn't there, but some of you might remember that. I don't know. Anyway, after some dilly-dallying, Dave says that he finally earned his Distinguished Toastmaster, his DTM, on the last possible day under the traditional program, an achievement that he says he'll be proud of all the days of his life. Since he left Toastmasters, I've left Toastmasters, he said, but I remember the good folks at Oswego Toastmasters, as well as those at the Kent Evening Club here in Washington State. So that was what Dave sent to us as kind of his memory of when he was in Toastmasters. Mr. Topic Master.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you. Thanks for reading that. Again, name from the past, I almost forgot about it.
I'm Facebook friends.
I know, and on Facebook again too.
Yeah, I forget.
Kim, you wanted to say a few words? Yes. All right, come on up.
I'm an introvert. Standing in front of a crowd was never something that I enjoyed. I do love reading, however. I was reading a book about leadership, and in that book I read about Toastmasters. And Karen and I were at a conference, and in one of our late night chats at the hotel, I happened to mention that I had read about Toastmasters, and she said, I've heard of them. I thought about it too. So I said, let's do it together. That will be much easier. That's what we did. We looked it up, came here, we started attending here, and what I wanted to share was what my favorite memory was and what I learned from Toastmasters. My favorite memory that will always stand out is it was the only place that I ever went where everybody clapped for everyone else. I loved that. When you come up, you get clapped for. When you go sit down, they clap for you. I just absolutely love that. That positive environment was something that I found very endearing. What I felt like I learned while I was at Toastmasters was that ability to be able to stand up and talk in front of people. But then what was really crucial for me was how to organize my thoughts, how to write that outline, put it all down on paper, practice. I remember learning that to memorize my intro and memorize my closing, those were like really key points. And it was so helpful for me. And then I have since done some public speaking, like at my church or in front of other work situations. And a couple of people have come up to me saying, I can tell you went to Toastmasters. You've told us that you go there, and I can tell it works. So I really enjoyed my time here. And I wanted to share my memories and how meaningful it was for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Norm, did you? Sure. You look like you were looking.
Why not?
All right, come on. Norm, you're like an old friend.
I am an old friend, I guess. Wow. Good evening, everyone. My journey. My actual journey began probably back in 2013. Reason why I'm going back to 2013, my actually former boss, she came up to me after a convention, gave an actual speech, and she said, you know what? You need to join Toastmasters. My response may surprise you. My response was, I'm too busy for it. I actually had a team of roughly about 35 to actually 40 people, and I was so busy in pouring into them that I wasn't pouring into myself. Fast forward to 2016, this conversation always stayed in my head. I never joined Toastmasters. 2016, my job is actually getting ready to actually shut down. I said, you know what? It's actually now time to actually invest into Normanville. So I actually joined Toastmasters, had a lot of fun. But actually, one of the things you may not know about me, I mean, some of you guys may actually know this, is actually, guess what? at times Normanville stutters. And so even though I did stutter, I still used to stand up in front of people and actually talk. But actually I found a way to actually overcome those things. But actually Toastmasters helped me even take it to another level. Today I actually talk in front of my team every single day. I've actually taught at different conventions as well as for my job, and actually do it with confidence. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. It's almost to the point now, and actually, Louis, you're probably looking at me. It's tough for me to sit down in a room without me saying anything. I like to talk, right? I love to sing it too, but actually my voice isn't all that great. But one of my favorite memories with actually Toastmasters was this. I had to give a speech, and the speech was called White Power. So now imagine, yes, you're looking at me. So first thing I did, I came to the meeting late on purpose. And actually, as I came in, it was right about time for me to actually come up. And I started diving into my speech. And I started talking about all these things that I'm actually tired of seeing on TV. Well, obviously white power isn't the white power that actually we're thinking about. The white power was actually the power of the smile. And so at the end of the speech, I talked about all the emotions that everyone was feeling, and actually different portions of the speech. And I could tell I actually hit the nerve of everybody, because as I was talking about those emotions, people were smiling and shaking their heads, saying, yeah, I was feeling that. Yeah, I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but it was fun because it was a play on words, but also it was a great way for me to communicate the message that I did want to put out there. So storytelling, all those things, they're very powerful. The actual power of the tongue is the most powerful thing that there is out there. It's great to have it here, but in order to get it out here and speak it, and for the people to actually hear, it's a very powerful thing. So Toastmasters has actually helped me out a lot. I'm actually very, very, very grateful to actually been a part of Toastmasters. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And I do remember now that you said it, that white power. Yeah, it kind of floored us when you're talking about the smile. Should we keep going? Do we have enough time? Or
We're probably there.
okay. All right. But then, maybe after we're done here, we can we have plenty of snacks back there. We can talk about all the successes we had then. Turn back over to our Toastmaster, Terry.
Thank you, Lois. Norman, I remember that speech. Oh, man, I remember that one. You had a great knack for titling speeches. You inspired me. One of my first speeches was The Revolution in the World's Oldest Profession. Had to do with accounting. Whoa, boy. Had to do with accounting. Then, Jim, do you still make pies?
I do.
Oh, some great talks on making pies. Anyways. Well, speaking of dessert, let's move into the dessert portion of our menu for this evening. And I will turn it over to our general evaluator to begin the evaluation portion of the evening. Dick, please take it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, fellow Toastmasters and guests, we do have an opportunity to give feedback to our two prepared speeches tonight. And to do that, to kick it off, I'll ask for Mark Lindsay to please provide feedback to John Greiner on his presentation. Mark.
All right. This time we won't knock over any equipment, I trust. Well, fellow Toastmasters and returning guests, and especially John Greiner, I was notified, I believe today, by Dick Poirier that I was going to be evaluating your speech, and I thought, what? He should be evaluating me. You know, I don't. I mean, for one thing, how am I going to do an evaluation that has any negative points? You know, because you're supposed to include some of those, but John Greiner just wouldn't have any negative points. And I might mention in passing that I've been wanting to talk with you about Toastmasters prison ministry. So I hope that before you get offline, you'll get my phone number and we can talk about that further. But now to your evaluation. Your voice is very pleasant and you have the relaxed manner of a seasoned, long-time Toastmaster, and all of this contributes to the effectiveness of the speech. Now, I think that in order to make it relevant to the 20-year celebration of a club, it became a speech not so much instructing us how to inspire as being an example of inspiration. And I think the speech was originally meant to teach us how to inspire, but it still did so by example. And one example was you. The fact that you are doing pathways when you don't have to, you know, that is an inspiration itself. It shows that you're still so into Toastmasters at this late stage that you want to do it. And that's bound to inspire the rest of us. You also inspired us through the examples from our own club history, and you inspired us by looking towards our future. The one nit that I would pick, so to speak, is that you said that you said that Dr. Schmedley would probably endorse the way we're doing things, and I want to discuss just for a bit the proper and improper uses of probably. I think you said probably because Dr. Smedley is no longer with us, or at least if he is, you're not able easily to talk with him. But I think that in this case probably had the effect of making me think, well, is he not sure that Dr. Smedley would endorse our club? And I don't think that's what you meant. I think you meant that we don't have a way to talk to him. But I would suggest that the word probably tended to weaken your statement that he would endorse our club. And I would want to propose that you just say that he would endorse our club. What probably is to be reserved for when you're really wanting to express uncertainty about something. I think a lot of us use it as a wiggle word because we don't want to appear arrogant or judgmental. But in this case, probably was unnecessary, or let me backtrack, probably was unnecessary. It wasn't just probably unnecessary. And that's the only nit that I would pick. Oh boy, did I enjoy listening to that speech, and it gave us a great springboard for the future of this club. Thank you, John. And be sure you get my phone number so we can talk about prison ministry. Thank you.
And yeah, Mark, I'll go ahead and I'll send John the phone number here before we get too much further along. Yes, and to evaluate Dan Kyber's speech, we now have Chris Kostelik, who will come up and do that. Chris, come on up or down or wherever you're going.
Thank you, Dick. And I will start by saying that I probably have the second hardest job here today next to Mark for evaluations. Dan, as always, a very thorough and thought through speech. I've said in the past that your vocal variety and speech patterns remind me of Paul Harvey, and that just the way that it comes across and kind of bounces along. And I will be honest, I found myself enjoying the speech more than trying to critique it at times, and had to kind of switch back gears. As far as vocal variety goes, I think you did great tonight, as always, but especially tonight, I could tell you were concentrating on that, and there was a lot of variety and intentional pauses that made sense. And I think from the vocal variety portion, you absolutely nailed it. Body language overall was great, and this is as Mark would say, my one nit to pick, and that was when you were here, everything was natural, everything flowed great. But as soon as you touched the podium, you either pounded on it or moved it. And you twisted this about 40 degrees both ways throughout the speech. And that would be the only thing I would say, and the only thing I sent you to challenge yourself on is to just stay off the podium. Because especially too, when you came up to the podium, you could tell in your mind that was the part of the speech you may not have been as sure of, and you were using the podium to come back to kind of quickly reconnect your thoughts to go into that next portion. But as soon as you step back, everything flowed and everything was perfect. And so that would be my only upgrade to the speech you gave. I think it's a great speech, and like I said, I enjoyed it more than critiqued it, I think. But just to challenge yourself to just not go to the podium at all. And wherever he is, whichever camera we want to look at, I've got 9 in the room. I'll turn it back over to Dick.
Thank you very much. I think I'm on mute. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And I will say our 2 evaluators tonight were evaluating speakers that were polished speakers, and they still managed to find some things to help the speaker improve. So congratulations, and as well as all those areas where the speaker did well. So thank you very much to both of our evaluators, Chris and Mark, for their feedback. We'll go ahead now and move into the rest of the evaluation team's feedback. And to do that, I call on Mimi to give us a little bit of a report on how we did on time. Mimi.
Thank you, Dick. Well, those were some really great speeches this evening, and I was really happy to see Dan in person do his speech. Usually I just see this much of him online. So anyways, John's speech, 8 minutes, 2 seconds. Dan's speech, 12 minutes, 43 seconds. Table topics, Mark, you were at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Dick, what you read was at 1 minute and 30. I timed it anyways. Kim, thank you. 1:59. Norman, 3 minutes, 44. And on the evaluations, Mark on John was 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And Chris' evaluation on Dan was 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Appreciate it. We'll now ask for some feedback on how we did in the use of grammar. And Chris, I believe you are a grammarian, and if you could come on up and give us that feedback, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Dick. With 2 seasoned speakers, of course, the counter of my job, the counter that is of my job, was very easy tonight. There wasn't any. For turns of phrases, I will be honest, like I said earlier, I found myself, especially during table topics, not knowing some of you in the room, listening more and just enjoying the story. I did like nit to pick. That was a interesting phrase I've not heard put that way. Usually it's nitpicked is the way I've heard it. So I appreciated that and appreciated just the storytelling overall. And so now with the most important part of my job is the word of the day count. And today we do actually have prizes. In the back of the room, there is a cake for the winner. And
I didn't know there was a word of the day.
Yeah, the word of the day was some form of memory or remembrance.
Oh,
and
I thought that was the theme. I'm sorry.
Yes, and even though Dan did slip it into one sentence 5 times, I think all of the stories we shared were in the spirit of the word of the day. Okay. And so I am awarding the cake to all of us here. Mr. Dick.
Thank you very much. No, that's a pretty good idea. I'm sorry I'm not there to enjoy the cake. Save some for me. Thank you very much, Chris, for that feedback. Now I'll just give a few little tidbits of how I thought we did in the meeting as a overall. And first of all, thank you very much to our cowbell ringer, Sergeant at Arms Terry Egan, for getting us started right on time like he always does. Thank you so much, Terry, which is really weird because when you're online and that cowbell rings or when anybody claps, everything goes silent. You don't hear anything. So it's kind of weird, but that's how it works. I think it's something to do with Zoom that picks up these background sounds and it cuts them out. I really liked how we had a nice full agenda and we pretty much stuck to the agenda. We're pretty much on time. Thank you, Louis, for kind of making sure that we stayed on track there. Overall, I think a very nice meeting. I'm really delighted. I'm sorry I'm not there in person to say hi to some of those folks that I haven't seen in quite a while, Kim and Karen and who else was there? Mona? No, sorry, that's not the right name. Is she still there? Let's see.
Yeah.
I can't see. Are you still there, Teresa? Yeah, okay, there's the hand waving. Okay.
She's right next to me.
Teresa and I have this thing. I can't remember. She remembers it better than I do, unfortunately. But at one time, for some reason, I called her Mona in the early days of Oswego Toastmasters, and so that's kind of a running joke we have between us. But anyway, I really am delighted that so many of you showed up to join us in this celebration. And I will now turn it back over to our Toastmaster for the day. Please help me welcome back Terry Egan.
Well, thank you. Just for our visitors who are unaware of the cowbell, that started with our first go-arounds with going through Zoom meetings and not meeting in person. Needed a way to call a meeting to order, and the cowbell seemed appropriate because when I ring it from the other side, it seems to come through so everybody could hear it. I don't know. Dick, I made a note to myself, I'm going to get a quiet cowbell. I'm going to hold up the sign. It's like, go ring it in, whatever. So, well, our meeting, our dinner has come to a conclusion. And before I turn it back over to our presiding officer this evening, it has been mentioned, but we do have the cake in the back, which we need to cut into more than one piece.
It's not single serving?
It could be. It could be. And it's got a whipped cream frosting on it as opposed to buttercream, so I knew you liked that. And okay, so with that, I will pass the gavel, I'll pass the cowbell back to our presiding officer, Mr. Dan Kybers. Yeah.
Thank you, Terry. All right. I think we've had a fantastic meeting tonight, and I'm going to try to keep my hands off that. And I didn't realize it was moving that much. Oh, by the way, Chris, this is a lectern, not a podium. Podium is that raised thing that they put the lectern on. Normally at the end of the meeting, we ask for comments by our guest. We pretty much covered those, but I think we have time for just a brief 30-second or less comment of how'd you like the meeting and what do you think?
Oh my gosh, so much fun. And I do want to share my most favorite memory. We did a reverse meeting. Does anybody remember that? Some of the folks online were around for that. Do you remember that, Louis?
Yeah.
We did a reverse meeting. So we started with the close, and then the evaluations were given, and then the people had to actually give speeches based on the evaluations. It was a huge challenge, and we had a ton of fun with it.
It's funny you mentioned that because the Saturday the 21st is our October deck meeting, and we always have the leadership train meeting after that, and it's our Hall of Fame and presidential luncheon, and by convention for the last several years, the leadership train does a backwards meeting at that event.
Really?
Yes, so it is, yes. Norm?
No, you know what? Great energy, great meeting. Brings back a lot of great memories. So thank you guys for actually inviting me back. So.
Sure thing. Virginia?
I just like coming and listening to all the speeches, and it's all entertaining to me.
Kim?
I'm grateful to see some faces that I haven't seen for a while, and I enjoyed the format, and it was just, I'm grateful for the invitation also.
Go ahead. And Karen?
Yeah, I'm thankful that I was invited. I'm
glad I came because it's it's fun to see. I mean, it's still the same format. It's like, wow, this feels very familiar. And I enjoyed that.
Thank you. Dick, I can't see who's online, so would you want to take care of the ones that are online so I don't miss anyone?
Sure. Let's see, Mary Ann, if you'd care to say it too.
I love the celebratory feel of the meeting and how it was a meal. So kudos to the Toastmaster. That was a great idea. And the memories shared by everybody. Awesome. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, John. How about you, John Greiner?
Well, I don't have a lot to add. I have to say that it's just been a pleasure being here tonight and sitting and enjoying meeting everyone and seeing some familiar faces again and getting the opportunity to share with you some of the history and experience and memories that I have of Toastmasters. So thank you for allowing me to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, special thank you for being our guest speaker, John. Appreciate it. And let's see who else we have. Bonnie Tippy, our immediate past district director.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It was great. I live in the middle part of the state, so I don't get to travel up to your part of the world very often, hardly ever. And so it was nice to be able to join you this way virtually. And perhaps you just never know, like a bad penny, I might pop up again.
Very good. I saw Narina. Thank you very much, Bonnie. I saw Narina a minute ago, but I don't see her now, so she may have left the meeting. Unless Narina, are you still there? I don't see.
She said she had to sign off.
She had to sign off. Okay, very good. I think I'll turn it back to you, Dan. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dick. Well, it's been a great meeting, great 20 years. I haven't been here for all of it, been here for some of it. Plan to be here for the next 20 years. I don't know. I have this plan that I'm going to live to be 106 and die peacefully in my sleep and be healthy until I do that. Now, whether that plan works out or not, I don't know, but that's my plan. I want to thank everybody that showed up tonight. I know that Toastmasters has helped you out in the past. We're glad that it did. You're always welcome to come back. I know you're busy and have other things to do. One thing I would like to ask you to do, even though you probably aren't coming back, spread the word to your friends. Let them know about us. Encourage them to come visit us again. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I just want to say that the enrichment that I talked about tonight in my own speech has been added to immeasurably tonight's. I'm so proud of this club.
Thank you, Mark. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting, take part in the refreshments in the back. I would like to stay, but I have another meeting I have to run home to at 9 o'clock. District Strategic Planning Committee, which Dick is going to be there, but he's already at home, so he'll be on time. Thank everyone for coming. Have a good week.
Recording stopped.